Hello everyone, welcome to the Cloud Learn AWS Zero to Hero series. This is a day 5 video. In this video, we are going to perform some hands-on labs on IAM topic. If you haven't covered the IAM theory part, go back to the day 4 video and go through the day 4 IAM theory part and then come back to this particular day 5 video. Let's get started. In this video, we are going to perform some hands-on tasks like hands-on practicals on IAM service like creating the users, managing the users, right? Deleting the users, providing some necessary permissions and all. And here I have prepared a steps or I can say the tasks to be performed in order to learn the IAM practically. So at the end of the video, I will share a URL, a form link in which you have to fill out your email ID and all the things so that I can provide access to this particular class notes, materials, and all the things. Okay, right. And even you can get that link in the description also. Just click on the link, which is a Google form link, fill out your name, email address, and all the required details so that I can allow you or I can share access with you guys so that you can go through this document and you can do the practicals. Right. Let me give a quick overview about what we have covered in the day 4. IAM is a service by using which we can control the security of the AWS account. Using the IAM service, we can create users, we can assign the required permission to those users using different methods, right? Yes. So now first thing, or before getting into that, already I mentioned in the last video that by default, by default, a user will get no permissions. If I create new user with no additional options configured, then the user will get no permissions. So first, let's start with that. Let me zoom out, zoom in. Okay. So first, let's start with that one. So instead of taking the names, right, like Rajesh, Ramesh, Kiran, and so on, it will be easy for me to take like user 0, user 1, user 2, user 3. But in the real time, we don't create the users or user accounts for your employees with user 0, user 1, user 2. We will follow with their actual names, the first name dot last name or last name dot first name according to your organization guidelines. Okay, to do all these things, first we have to log into the AWS account. How to log into the AWS account? Just open your favorite browser, any browser, that doesn't matter. Then type aws.amazon.com. Click on sign into the console. If I already logged in automatically, I will log out and I will show you how to log in. Okay, so here we don't have any IAM users yet, right? We have only one user called root user. So what I do, I would like to log in as a root user. And remember, root user is not recommended for day-to-day activities. Then what is the use of a root user? To configure your AWS account with initial things, we will use the root user. We don't have any other users yet, so I will log in as a root user by clicking on this link. Enter your email address. Okay, capture, submit. Let me enter the password. And if you remember, in the account creation video, we have enabled multi-factor authentication on our AWS account. So let me open my Google Authenticator app in which I configured multi-factor authentication. Let me enter the 6-digit code which is displayed on my Google Authenticator app. Okay, so we logged in successfully, right? I logged in as a root user. See here, by default, it will takes you to some region. But if you are taking it to Mumbai, Hyderabad, no need to worry. There's a common. There is no rule that by default everyone should get this region. If I want to change the region to Hyderabad, I will click this so that whatever I perform, they will be created in the Hyderabad region. If you want to create in Mumbai, just change the region to Mumbai. Okay, now What is our first task? Create a user with the username called user0 with all default options. Okay, and one more important thing. Whenever you're doing the practicals, don't do the practicals blindly. Just assume that you are in a company and you are doing this for a real-time use case. So I will give you some example, the same way you can follow. I will assume, I mean, during my learning days, I assume like, okay, I am working for a company and I am the administrator for the AWS account. A new employee joined and his name is a user zero. So the team asked me to create an user account for the user zero without providing any extra permissions. That's how I uh, think while I'm doing the practical. Okay, so you are the new user. So I'm creating a user account for you. Okay, right. So now first I will log in with my username, but there's a new account. So I logged in with the root user. Then we have to navigate to the service called Identity Access Management. The service name is Identity Access Management. How to navigate? So here you can click on this button and you have to search. But the easiest way is here there is a search box. Here type IAM. So click on IAM service, which will takes you to the IAM service dashboard. This is the IAM service. See here, there are no user groups yet. There are no users. There are no policies. There are no identity providers. But there are two roles. Those two roles were created for AWS support. AWS support. Okay. So here, if you see on the top right corner, this is your account name, which is a Cloud Learn in my case. And if you see at the region place, automatically it is showing as a global. Why? Already I said IAM doesn't belong to any region. There's a global service. Okay, and here you can see account ID. This is your AWS account ID, which will be generated, which is a unique ID, which will be generated at the time of account creation. Okay, now what is our goal? To create a user. On the left side, click on this users. No users yet. Let us create a user. Click on create user, which is on the right side, top right side. So username. What is the username? User zero. User zero. And what type of access you should provide? What type of access? Because I said every user can have two types of accesses. One is a management console access type, and the second one is programmatic access type. Let us divide these practicals into two parts. In the first part, we will cover with management console access. The second part by assigning programmatic access type. So this part we will see with management console access type. How to provide an access type to a user. If I select this checkbox, if I select this checkbox, the user will get management console access. If I don't select this checkbox, the user won't get any access type. Means I want to travel to Bangalore, but there is no mode of transport. I can't reach the same way. But I will show you how can we assign a programmatic access type in the next part. Select this checkbox and we are going to create this user in the IAM. So here you need to select this checkbox. I want to create an IAM user. So this is a username for the user and that user requires a password. So here there are two different ways to assign or to set a password for the user. One is auto-generated password. So AWS will generate an auto password for the user or a custom password which I can assign a password for the user and I can share the password with the user. Okay, in this case, for yourself, if I select the auto-generated password, which means I will know your password, right? To avoid that security things, so here we have an option called user must create a new password at next sign in, which means the moment once I create the user, a random password will be generated which I will share with you. At this point, your password is known to myself. Then what happens because of this checkbox? Whenever you're logging in for the very next time, it will force you to change the password so that nobody else knows your password. So click on next. Now, set permissions. What is our requirement? What is our requirement here? With all default options, I don't want to assign any permission to the user. So I don't want to select any options. Directly, I will click on next. Here you can review everything. Username, what is the password? Auto-generated. Require password reset? Yes. Now click on create user. See here, the user got created. Now, this account is for yourself, for you, right? I created this account for you. Now, what I do, sorry, what I will do, I will note down all these details and I will share these details with you so that you can log in. How I can, let me show you. Let me copy the sign in URL. What is the username? User 0. And what is the password? If I click on show, it will display. Let me copy and let me enter the password. What I do, I will share these details with you. Then you have to log in, right? Okay, we done with the account creation. Now I will share these details with you using the email and all the things. Now what I have to do? Now assume I am the user 0. Now I am the user 0 because here I don't have multiple people to test. So I have to act as an administrator, user 0, user 1, user 2, and so on. While doing the practicals, you have to be in the place of each and every individual user. In the real time, you will have only your username and password. How can I log into the user 0? I have to log out as a root user and I have to log in. Instead of log in and log out every time, what I do is I use a different browser, just a different browser. Now I'm acting as user 0, aws.amazon.com, sign into the console, or or the alternate way is administrator provided me the sign in link, right? Just copy that. What happens? Automatically the account ID will be pre-filled, or else the user has to enter the account ID manually, which is not possible to remember the 12-digit account ID. Now the username is user 0. Password. What is the password? Here is the password. And if you remember, at the time of account creation, administrator selected user must set a new password at next sign in, right? Okay, now let us see. Click on sign in. I am logging in as a user 0 and it is asking me to change the password. Old password means the password which has been shared by the administrator. New password, let me enter a new password. Click on confirm password change. Continue to sign in. So I successfully set my password and nobody else knows what is the new password. So here, if you see on the top right corner, you can see something like user 0 at the rate something something. This is the account ID, means I logged in as a user 0. And if you see, there are a lot of errors, access denied, access denied. Why? By default, a user, an IAM user, will get no permissions. That is what we are going to test. How can we verify? Okay, now I am a user 0. Let me go to IAM service. Let me check the list of users, or let me try to create a new user. Let me perform some actions. See here, access denied. Access denied, which means by default, an IAM user will get no permissions, right? Okay, let me log out as a user 0. Now, what is the next one? There is a concept called account alias. Account alias. What is the meaning of alias? What is the meaning of alias? Alias is alternate, right? Alternate name. So whenever an IAM user wants to log in, they have to enter the account ID every time, but they can't remember the account ID, right? So what we can do, that account ID can be replaced with a name. How to do that? Log in as a root user, because as of now we have only one user with all permissions, there is a root user. Log in as a root user and set an account alias. So here I logged in as a root user. This is the, I mean, whenever I open a Google Chrome, you can consider I logged in as a root user. Now go to IAM service, right? So you are in the dashboard. On the right side, here you can see account alias option. Before creating the account alias, can you observe the sign in URL, account ID, dot signin dot aws dot amazon.com. Let us create an account alias. How to create? Click on create. Let's use some name. You can use your company name, right? Create alias. Done. Now what happened? From now onwards, the sign in URL contains the alias name instead of account ID. Now let's verify that the users can log in using the alias or not. So here, instead of account ID, I will enter the account alias user 0 password. See here, we were able to log in successfully with the account alias. Account alias is easy to remember, but this is a one-time setup. At the time of account creation, your organization set this at the initial stages. Every day, we don't modify all these things. These are like one-time configurations or one-time setups. Okay, right. Now, what is the next thing? Just let us create another user called user1. A new employee joined. So you're a new employee into my team, and you are going to act as, or you are going to work as an administrator for the AWS account. So what I have to do, I have to create a user account for yourself, and I need to provide some permissions. And we can provide permissions in three different ways. The first one is by attaching a policy to the user, or adding the user into a group, so that if already full access was applied on the group, so the same permissions will be automatically applied to the user. The third one, we can copy the permissions from an existing user. Let us say if there is already an administrator working in the company, and if you want to copy or replicate the same permissions, you can do that also. First, let us use attach an existing policy directly. Let us use attach an existing policy directly, and this is going to be the policy name. 99% all the required policies are available in the AWS console as a default policies, but we will create one custom policy also, because we should know how to create if required, right? Okay, now let us see how to create an IAM user called user1, and how to assign or how to attach an existing policy so that the user one should get full control on the AWS account. Let me log in as a root user. So here the root user. How to identify whether I logged in with a root user or a normal user? On the top right corner, if you logged in as a root user, it will just display the name of your AWS account. If you log in with an IAM user, then it will display username at the rate account name or account ID or account alias. That's the easiest way to recognize. Now navigate to IAM service, click on users, create user, username is going to be user1, provide user access. I want to create an IAM user. This time, let me use a password, custom password. And I don't want to select this checkbox because already we have tested it. I don't think it is required during the testing learning phase to change the password every time. Next. Now, how we would like to assign a password? By attach policies directly. See here, attach policies directly. Select this checkbox, and it is displaying 1321 existing permission policies. Out of those, I would like to select this checkbox again as the policy name called administrator access. What does that policy contain? First of all, what is a policy? Policy is a document which is written in JSON format, right? Okay, so here, just to observe how the policy looks like, click on this plus symbol. This is the policy. Let me copy it. Let me paste here just to observe what it is. This is what the permissions. Effect. What is the effect? Allow. Whoever the user is having this particular policy, The user will be allowed to perform all actions. Star indicates all actions on all resources, like every service. Easy to understand. Easy to understand the JSON script, but we don't write it. I will show you how to generate a custom policy also. Right. So now let me scroll down to the bottom, click on next, create user. Now the user one got created. Now you can see sign in URL has the alias instead of account ID. Now what I do, I will share these details with the user one and I will ask the user one to log in. What is the next thing? Log in as user one and verify the administrator access permissions. Means the user one can perform all actions. At least we will go to two different services and we'll confirm that the user has full control. We can't test all 200 services. At least two we will check. Instead of checking one service, we will check two different services. What we can do, first let me log in as a user one. How to log in? The same way, aws.amazon.com, sign into the console, account ID or account alias, user one, password for the user one. This time it will not force me to change the password. Why? Why? Because I haven't selected the checkbox called user must change or set a new password at next sign in. Okay, how to verify? First, I will navigate to IAM service. If I am able to see the list of users, I can say, okay, I got read access. If I am able to create a new user, I can say, yeah, I got write permission, right? So I can say, okay, I got the full control, right? So click on users. See, I can see the list of users, user zero, user one, and so on. Then what we do, create a new IAM user as user one. So I logged in as a user one. Let me create a new user. This time, let me say user 101, any random name. If I'm able to create, then I can say, okay, I got write permission. See here, user 101 got created. And also I can delete existing user also. So we tested on one service. Let us test on another service also. Let us check that the user one got control on any other service, but we haven't covered any other services yet, right? But that's okay. Let's just test it. For that, I will go to EC2 service. We don't know what EC2 is. The next service is going to be the EC2 after completing the IAM. So here on the left side, you can do anything. That there is no restriction. You can do anything. But what I do is, if I scroll down here, I can see one option called security groups. Click on the security groups because it is easy to create. Click on create, test one, some name to the group, description, and just scroll down and click on create. See here, I'm able to create. Means this as a user one, I'm the user one now. I got full control on the AWS account. This is how we can test the user whether he got full control on the AWS account or not. Now, what I do, I will create an IAM user called user2 with read-only permission on IAM service. So how we can do that? How to do that? We can, okay, already we have a user, right? Now I am the user one and I am the administrator. From now onwards, let me perform all actions using user one because he's the administrator, right? Okay, user one. What is the next step? A new employee joined and his name is user two, right? And as per the policy, as per the requirement, he just need read permission on IAM service. Read permission on a single service, not on all services also. Okay, how to do that? Just go to now with which user I logged in. Check here on the top right corner, user one. Now I'm performing all the actions as a user one. Go to users, create user, user two. Same thing I will repeat, but the only difference is at the time of assigning the password, you have to select the appropriate password policy. Next, So attach policies directly. So in the search, I will type IAM. So here I can see IAM read-only access. Select that checkbox so that this policy will allow the user to read from the IAM service, not any other thing. Create user. Yep, done. We got created, right? Okay, now let me log out. How to log out? On the top right corner, click on your username at the rate account alias, sign out. Let me log in as user2 and let me perform a read action, not any action. Perform just read action because we provided only read only permission. Let me sign in. User2 sign. So first let me go to the IAM service and let us confirm that he can only read. He can't create, he can't delete. Go to the users. See, I can read the data, right? I can read, right? Now let me try to delete. How to delete? Select a user, click on delete. To confirm deletion, enter the username in the text input field. What is the username? User101. Delete user. Access denied. Means the user 1 can read the data, but he cannot delete. Let me try creating a user. Any user, that doesn't matter. What happened? Access denied means the user 2 cannot create or he cannot delete. He can read on IAM service. At the same time, we have to make sure that this user 2 cannot read the information from any other service. For that reason, I will go to EC2, I mean, sorry, a different service, just to check he cannot read any info. Let me go to the same security groups under network and security. See here, you are not authorized to perform this operation. So the access is purely depends on what type of permissions you are providing. Okay. Now assume that the one, user one who is administrator, right? He forgets his password. User one forgets his password. So what he will do, he will approach the other administrator by sending an email or something that, okay, I forgot my password. Could you please reset my password? Yes, that is possible. How to do that? Log in as an administrator. Any admin can do that. Any admin, root user or an IAM user with full control on the AWS account, they can reset a password for any user. How to do that? Just click on the username. There is a tab called security credentials. Security credentials. Then here, click on manage console access. And here select reset password and select a custom password or autogen, anything you can use it. Reset password. See here, this is the new password for user one. What I can do, I will share that with the user one, and the user one can log in using the new username, sorry, the new password, and automatically it will force the user to change the password with a new one. Okay, now, till now we have used existing policies, right? Now I want to create a custom policy, I mean a customized policy which can provide full access on EC2 service, just a single service, full access. Let us see how to do that, because we know the policies are written in JSON format, but we don't know what is a JSON script and how to write it, right? No worries. We won't write the JSON script. I will show you how to do that. First, log in as a root user or any administrator user. Then Navigate to IAM service. Here we can see an option called policies under access management. Click on the policies. These all are default policies, AWS managed or AWS provided policies. Now what I do, I will click on create policy. This is the visual and JSON, two options. If you know how to write a JSON, just click here and you can write everything. But I don't know what is a JSON and all. So choose a service. On which service you are planning to provide a permissions, EC2. What type of actions you would like to allow? All EC2 actions, like all permissions, list, read, write, everything. Scroll down. Now here, resources, all resources. Within the EC2, we have multiple resources available, instances, security groups, and number of things. I would like to give all resources permissions. Now, what happens here? If I click on JSON, automatically the policy got generated. See here, hello, effect is hello. Action EC2 star means not all actions. The actions to be performed on EC2 service will be allowed on all resources of EC2. So every EC2 action will be allowed by this particular policy. Okay, let me click on visual. See here, allow all actions on EC2. Click on next. Give a name, policy name, EC2 full access. Description, you can write any description for your understanding purpose. So I can say allows full access on EC2 service. So here you can see on EC2 service, access level, full access, full all resources. Click on create policy and the policy got created. Now it's time to check or test the policy which we created is working as expected. For that, what we do, let us create a group because we haven't tested providing permissions to the users with the help of a groups, right? Let us create a group and attach the newly created custom policy to the group. So that what happens, whoever the user is a part of that group will get the full access on EC2 service. That is what we are going to test. Okay, right. So how to do that? Same thing in the IAM service, click on user groups under access management, click on create group, group name, EC2 admins. I don't want to add any users at this point. Permissions, what permissions? In the search, I will search for EC2, scroll down. Where is the policy? Let me go to the second page. See here, this is the one which we created. You can observe customer manage. Select that checkbox, create user group, and done. How to check whether this group has attached with the required policy or not? Click on the group name and click on permissions tab. You can check the attached policies. Okay, now what is the next thing? Let us create a new user called user3 and add that user to the existing group. How to do that? Click on users under access management of IAM service. Click on create user, user3. Okay, add user to group. Here, select add user to group. Select the group so that the user3 will be automatically added to this EC2 admins group. And on the group, this is the policy applied. So this policy inherited to the user. Click on next, create user. Now we have to test that the user3 got full access on EC2 service only. How to check? Login as user3. Click on sign in. So I logged in as user 3. First, what I do is I will go to IAM service to check that this user 3 doesn't have any permissions on IAM. Means he can't see anything. If I go to users, I can't see. If I go to groups, I can't see. Policies, I can't see because we have given full access on EC2. Let me go to the EC2 service and again go to security groups. Yes, he can read. Let me create something. I will say tester2, and create. Yes, I'm able to create, which means I got the right permission also, right? I got right permission also. Let me do deletion. Let me select the previous test1 security group, which we created in the previous task. Actions, delete security groups, delete. See here, I'm able to read, write, and delete only on EC2. Any other service, I cannot perform any other actions. This is how we can provide different permissions or different level of access to the users. The same way, you can create different users with different use cases. Like while you are doing practicals, don't limit to the tasks which I have performed. I will give you the list of all these things. This document I will share. For that, you guys have to fill. You guys have to fill what we call that the Google form, which I'm about to share, so that I will allow you guys to access all these documents from a Google Drive or GitHub. Okay, I think Google Drive will be easy for you guys to access. Okay, right. Then, as of now, we have seen allow policy, but IAM also supports deny policy. What does that mean? If there is a user, if there is a user, and we apply admin access policy, we applied admin access policy, then I will create another policy called IAM full access deny. We have seen action allow in the policy, right? This time I will create action as a deny. And if I attach like this, what happens? This admin access contains IAM full access allow. And here IAM full access deny, which means there is a conflict, right? There is a conflict like IAM full access. We have given two different permissions, allow and deny. In this case, for a single user, we created a policy like allow IAM full access and deny IAM full access. In this case, deny has the highest priority over allow, which means this user will get full control on all services except IAM full access. This is the resultant permission. Except this, he will get full permissions. Now, let us see how to create a deny policy also. We have seen how to create allow policy, right? Now we will see how to create a deny policy. Okay, so IAM full access deny. Let us do this. Same process. Go to policies under access management, create policy, select a service. I will say IAM, and how to change that from allow to deny. So here effect is there, right? By default, allow will be selected. Now I have to select deny. All actions, all resources. Now what happens here? JSON. Can you see? Effect is deny. Earlier it was allow, now it is deny. Next. The policy got created. Now, already we know that user 1 has a full access, right? User 1 has full access. How we know? We already created at step 6 and we verified that the user 1 has a full access. Now what I do? I will attach this policy to the existing user. User 1 is already existing user, right? and he has already full access. Now let us attach this so that the user can perform all actions except IAM. Let us check that. So here, let me go to the users, click on user one. You can see permissions tab. Already this user is having administrator access. Now click on add permissions, and attach policies directly. This is the one which we created, right? IAM full access denied. Next, add permission. Now the user one has two permissions. One is administrator access allow, IAM full access denied. So what we have to observe now, if we log in as user one, he can perform all actions on all services except IAM service. Let us verify that. Let me log in as a user one. First, let me go to IAM. I should not read. See here, access denied. Go to users, access denied, policies, access denied, user groups, access denied. But if I go to any other service, let us say EC2, I should get full control, full access on any other service. Let us try. Same, let me go to the same security groups. I can read. Let me delete that. Yes, I can delete. Just let me do a refresh here. Yeah. Let me create. See here. We can do all these kind of actions except I am full access. This is how this is how we can create users with different level of access. But in all these things, we only provided management console access type, right? What we do in the next video, we will do with a programmatic access type first, and we will see how we can access the AWS account with the programmatic access type. Then how can we provide both the type of access to the users? That we will cover in the next video. If you think this video is helpful to you, just like, share, and subscribe this video. And if you have any questions, use the comment box to ask your questions. And also to receive the class notes and the lab tasks, just go to this URL. Let me check this. Just go to that link, the cloud learn, cutt.ly/the cloud learn, and fill out the form. And I will add you guys to the Google Drive and GitHub repository so that you can download this class notes, task list, to-do list, and everything. Okay, right. Thank you, everyone. We'll continue in the next video with programmatic access time.